Welcome to Media Chats. I'm Xu Yawen in Beijing. The BRICS Summit will convene in Kazan, Russia from October 22nd to 24th. It will mark the bloc's first meeting in its newly expanded configuration. In January, BRICS expanded its membership from the original 5 members, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, with the addition of Iran, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Ethiopia, and Egypt. The Kazan Summit will focus on strengthening multilateralism, equitable global development, and enhancing security, while also exploring ways to deepen cooperation between BRICS nations and countries from the Global South. So why are more developing countries seeking to join BRICS? How will this expanded platform shape the future of international cooperation and governance? For more, let's bring in our panelists. Joining us in the studio is Evgenii Pavlov. He's the journalist with Sputnik Agency. With us on the line is Witten, editor-in-chief with IOL in South Africa. Yasmin Scali, she's the journalist with Sputnik Brasil, specializing in BRICS. And also joining us on the line is Baharu Yidnekachew. He's the director of TV news and current affairs with Fana Broadcasting Corporate in Ethiopia. So Evgenii, let me come to you first. We know the BRICS Summit this year focuses on establishing a fair world order based on shared principles. What do you make of the significance of the summit, given it's considered to be one of the largest foreign affairs events hosted by Russia in recent years?
Yeah, first, thank you for having me. So this is it is indeed promising to be a very important summit in Kazan. By now, as far as I remember, over 30 countries have confirmed the participation, as well as some international organizations. There's certainly going to be a lot of bilateral meetings held by President Putin with the other representatives of the countries that participate, and most of the BRICS member countries will be represented by their leaders. His advisor recently confirmed that there is going to be more than 20 such bilateral meetings just within several days. So, of course, there's going to be a lot of bilateral discussions. As far as the general BRICS agenda is concerned, there is a lot on the table. BRICS is certainly, concerning your question about the order of things, it's certainly one of the organizations that is shaping the world right now. One of the major topics on the agenda is certainly going to be the issue of BRICS expansion, because BRICS is now being like a rock star on the international arena, and there are so many countries that want to join. There is a debate now within BRICS on how to manage this growth, because a lot of BRICS members do not want to sacrifice efficiency of the club for growth, although you cannot just ignore the interest, because it's so very important, and shows how important this organization is and how people look up to being a part of it. So what Russia has proposed is basically a compromise option. Russia has come up with the idea of introducing the status of a partner state, and we probably are going to see this formalized in the final declaration of the summit. So this is something that we should look forward to and pay attention to. Of course, as well, one of the major topics on the agenda is the future economic cooperation and the role of BRICS in the international financial system.
Baharu, let me come to you. So we know this summit will be Ethiopia's first time participating in the BRICS meeting as a full member. From your perspective as a reporter, what topics are you paying attention to or expecting to be discussed during the meeting?
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to have a discussion about BRICS. As Pavlov says, BRICS is now it's a rock star in the world arena. So as a new member, we expect Ethiopia's economic goal is very vast. So we need to address whether these economic goals have full attention with BRICS members. Ethiopia needs to explore the BRICS membership to boost its economic goal. And Ethiopia's economy is one of the emerging economy in Africa. Now we are at the fifth. So we need to have, this proper attention from the BRICS members about our economic goals. And also as a reporter, I need to focus on the infrastructure development. This BRICS has the New Development Bank, so it can have some sort of loan for infrastructural development. And also, we don't know a lot practically about BRICS, so we need to have focus on the challenges and opportunities of joining BRICS as a full membership. The world is in multipolar now, so we are joining the one of the strongest polar with Russia and especially China. So we need to have look what's the opportunity and the challenge we are facing in the future, in the near future. And also, for sure, there will be global influence when you join, some blocks like BRICS. We need to examine how Ethiopia's membership can elevate its profile on the global stage and strengthen its diplomatic relations. So these 4 points are, my priority of focus in the BRICS summit.
Lance, as Baharu has just mentioned, with Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the UAE, Iran, and Ethiopia joining as new members of BRICS, there will be opportunities and challenges. How do you interpret this expansion, and what changes do you think will the new members bring to the group's cooperation?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I mean, I'm very excited to see particularly two additional African countries joining the BRICS bloc in Egypt and Ethiopia. Africa is a very diverse place, and even on the continent, South Africa down in the south, Ethiopia on the east coast, and of course Egypt up in the north. Just among those three countries in Africa, very, very diverse cultures, very diverse systems. I think the inclusion of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the UAE, Iran, and Ethiopia within the BRICS bloc, it should have quite a profound impact on the cooperation mechanisms. You could see an increased global influence of BRICS, I mean, especially as the bloc continues to grow and add more members. I think the areas that we can really see some wonderful development in terms of the influence is in the areas of energy, in trade, and in political alliances. That being said, if you consider the diversity that we've spoken about of these countries, I think there will need to be a little bit of adjustment to ensure just effective cooperation and coordination. They're vastly different economic and political systems within the bloc. So I think better integration can be achieved through enhanced diplomatic efforts, alignment on the various shared goals that the countries within the bloc share, and of course a greater focus on institutional cooperation, because we need to kind of harmonize all of these diverse interests, and the diversity in this bloc, I think, is part of its strength.
Yasmin, aside from the 10 official member states of BRICS, over 30 countries have applied to join the bloc, with many applicants being developing nations from the global south. So has that come in within your expectations or beyond your expectation that so many countries want to be part of this bloc?
Yes, for sure. Because usually when people will talk about BRICS also, they say, oh, it's a group created in 2006 and it's a counterpoint with the Western groups. And we also have this narrative. But from my point of view, BRICS, it's a natural answer of countries that think they should shine also. They should come that the world has place for everyone, So now with the expansion, we will expand also this point of view. We will integrate more. And if we are in a world that has place for everyone, we are in a multipolar world. World is specifically, people use a lot to talk about BRICS, and I think this is one of the most beautiful words to talk about it. A chance for everybody to grow, to show their culture, the culture of countries, it's such a rich thing in the world. We can learn so much with each other. So that's why I believe they see themselves in this group and why they seek to join us.
Nearly every continent has nations that have either joined BRICS, applied to become part of it, or expressed the interest to joining. So why is BRICS becoming so attractive, so popular nowadays? Like, how do you assess the global influence? I know you have briefly touched upon this, but could you elaborate more on this bloc's global influence after expansion?
Let me remind you that the BRICS itself has developed from another format called RIC, or RIC, Russia, India, China. So back in the 1990s, the then Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia, Evgenii Pavlov, who's also one of the founding fathers sort of the concept of multipolarity, he argued that Russia, as a country which represents the global north, obviously, but he argued that Russia should build much more robust ties with the global south. So this cooperation led to the RIC format and then later the BRICS format, and now BRICS stands for 45% of the world's population and 35% of the global GDP. So while the BRICS members, the founding members, they all, including Russia, stick to the idea that the United Nations is central for the international order. The BRICS platform is a very dynamic, very powerful platform, predominantly represented by the countries sometimes often categorized as the developing countries of the global south. And of course, it is very empowering for them, and it gives the voice to these countries. And as a representative of Russia, I can say that Russia has been very supportive of this and has always tried to have an equal dialogue with all the countries of the global south, and was rooting for the mutually beneficial and respectful partnerships. And I believe that BRICS certainly has the potential to increase the voice of the developing South, and to give them the opportunity to participate more in shaping the international systems as they do deserve. At the same time, BRICS is not exclusive. I wouldn't rule out if, in perspective, at some point, even some European countries may join. So we know, for example, that some people in Serbia expressed interest. So it is not impossible. So it is an inclusive group of countries in which certainly the global south has great representation, and it's going to certainly increase the voice of these countries.
Baharu, let me come to you. We know Ethiopia is the largest economy in East Africa, and also is regarded as one of the countries with the greatest development potential. So it formally applied to join BRICS last year, and as experts suggest that the country sees expanding its partnerships with emerging countries as an important way to develop the nation. So in your view, what role can BRICS play in Ethiopia's economy?
BRICS can play a lot of roles in Ethiopian economy. BRICS is like 40% of the world population has a share on this world population, and also the quarter of world GDP is under the BRICS. So Ethiopia can have a lot of things from BRICS related to its to developing its economy. The first thing is, we can talk about trade and investment. Although most of the BRICS members are already Ethiopia's trade partners, but this membership or BRICS can boost its trade and investment cooperation between BRICS and Ethiopia. BRICS can provide Ethiopia with new markets for its exports, and attract foreign investments from BRICS members. China built a lot of industrial parks in Ethiopia, invest a lot of money, but when it comes to being in the same block, the investment will be boost or increase potentially. And also, Brazil can also have, we are the coffee exporters, Ethiopia and Brazil. But when you go to Brazil, they have this agri-tech. They are very well developed in agriculture technology. So we can have these technologies. We can share these technologies together. We can also take a lesson from Brazil, how they, make the coffee industry, boost. So we also have seeking for infrastructure development. So BRICS countries can collaborate with Ethiopia on infrastructure projects such as transportation, energy, and telecommunication. As you know, we are building the huge hydroelectric dam GERD in Ethiopia. So China can have, invest its capability of infrastructure on this hydroelectric dam. We can also, share or export this hydroelectric dam to neighboring countries because we have this capability to do so. Also, energy, we have these new members, UAE, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. So we can cooperate with energy. So we need to align with this BRICS mechanism. One of the good thing from BRICS is the member of BRICS never want to interfere on one's country's internal affair. So no need to adjust your policies or your view towards the world to benefit from the members of BRICS, economically or technologically or infrastructurally. So I think it's very important to us, but it's not like only taking from the BRICS. We can also give something for the BRIC members. It's a win-win. Ethiopia is one of the greatest economy, and also we have 120 million, more than 120 million population. So you can invest on this market. You can sell your products to this market.
Lance, do you have anything to add? Baharu, he mentioned a lot of opportunities that BRICS member countries could possibly cooperate.
If I can just jump in, sure. I think Baharu mentioned some very, very interesting points for me. And if we look at those existing trade agreements that we have, and China is South Africa's biggest trading partner by far. Already, outside of BRICS. But the fact that there is this potential for us to, and I loved what Baharu mentioned about not meddling in each other's internal affairs and not having to adjust your policies. If you look at, for example, the manner in which the Western superpowers behave and they operate, right? I mean, it's not one of a shared cooperation. It feels a little bit like a group of countries that have been bullied in the past and who are now standing up to the bullies saying, no, we don't need this anymore. We can do this. We can do this ourselves. When we look at the development of and the creation of the new development bank, we are setting our own policies for infrastructure development. So I think there's immense potential for cooperation, and I like the fact that we're kind of saying that enough is enough. We're not going to listen to what the IMF and the rules that the IMF and the World Bank place on us, and this kind of neo-colonialist thinking that the Western superpowers have. And we're saying no, that's enough. We're gonna live life on our own terms now, and this is what we have the potential to do.
If we review progress made by BRICS countries over nearly 2 decades, the establishment of the new development bank is a remarkable one, created in 2015, aiming to finance infrastructure and sustainable development projects in BRICS members and other emerging economies. So, what's your assessment of the performance of the NDB since its establishment? Could you share with us some maybe examples or projects that have been achieved under this framework?
I think what's really interesting, I mean, you mentioned, since the establishment of the NDB in 2015, we've just had the 9th annual meeting of the New Development Bank hosted here in Cape Town in South Africa. It was really lovely to see the commitment from each of the countries in continuing to assist with financing this bank. So each member of the BRICS bloc has put in a significant investment. And I mean, just looking through some of the numbers here, you're looking at the initial capitalization in 2014 of $50 billion, plans to increase that to like $100 billion over time. Each of the initial member countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, each initially subscribed and committed to about $10 billion. if you look at the project that the NDB has been involved in, those projects have been funded and supported without political conditions, considering looking at financing some of these infrastructure projects from a grouping or a financier like the World Bank or the IMF. Those come along with political conditions. The NDB's performance, I think, has been quite positive, especially supporting these projects that align with the needs of particularly the developing economies like South Africa's, because we do face barriers. You get a negative rating from one of the global ratings agencies, and suddenly your interest rate goes through the roof when you take out financing with some of these Western banked global financiers. And I mean, these are some of the barriers that developing economies face. But with the bank's capacity to drive this kind of large-scale reform from a global financing and financial governance perspective, look, it is evolving. I don't think we're quite there yet, but we are getting there. And I'm really excited to see the development of this NDB and how it can help drive infrastructure development.
Yasmin, the cheering president of NDB is from Brazil. So in a recent interview, she mentioned that the bank's priorities are increasingly finance the private sector with local currencies and to boost sustainable projects. And she also talked about the possibilities of increasing the use of local currencies instead of the US dollars. What do you make of her remarks? Why would she encouraging or putting the priority of using local currencies instead of dollar when it comes to developing countries in global south?
One of the first things that comes to our mind when we talk about NDB is the de-dollarization process, because it's a process that if keep going, it will reduce the vulnerability of countries and any economic pressures that they may face it. But recently stated a sentence that I really like that she said, NDB has a great characteristic. It's made by and for the countries of the global south. So this shows what is the goals of the NDB, not only the process to build a better economy for these countries, but also what the bank will offer to the countries. So as our friend Baharu said about the loans, also BRICS bank will allow us, the members, to have longer repayment payments. So this will make easier for them to build that infrastructure. For instance, Brazil last year in October, we obtained 1 billion from the NDB to apply in social programs and also in infrastructure. And this is very important to us because although Brazil is we are growing, we still have to invest a lot in the process of industrialization. We have the resources, but we still face some difficulties. How are we going to export these resources? How are we going to make our own product? So I believe the goal of NDB, especially with Dilma as a president, will help to promote the development of these countries for sure.
Baharu, even though Ethiopia has not yet joined the NDB, this Ministry of Foreign Affairs said this year that the country is working hard to become a member of BRICS New Development Bank, and as it seeks alternative benefits in financial and related matters. So why does Ethiopia want to be part of it, and in which areas of the cooperation is Ethiopia looking to engage after joining?
It's a very interesting question. Ethiopia, as emerging economy, we take a loan from IMF and World Bank. So when you want to take, let me mention some experience. Like just this year, 2024. So we are negotiating with World Bank and IMF, and the things they asked for us to restructure our economy. The government just stop subsidizing the low income population because of their consensus, because they are pushing like the private sectors on privatization. I know privatization is a good thing, but they are thinking about their corporates, not about Ethiopian small scale industries or enterprises. So they are pushing us like towards the edge just to take that dollar. So we need the dollar, it's obvious, but to take that dollar, you need to do a lot of things against your policy, against your population. But when you come to NDB, no need to go against your policies or against your population. The demand of the population is just to grow, just to develop, just to grow their income. So NDP will help us like with these things. And also Ethiopia decides not to take any commercial loans, so we need these concessional loans. So you can pay back like with a long term with a very small interest rate. So NDB is a best option related to this. I know it's in early stages the bank is not as such strong, but we can make it strong. We can contribute for this bank so that they can finance our infrastructure demand. And also the good thing is, as Yasmin mentioned, de-dollarization is something we want just to reduce dependency on the Western system. So for that, we can have these currency swaps. We can have the money we need with our own local currency. So it's a very good thing for Ethiopia. That's why we are pushing towards to join to NDB and working together with NDB.
Very well said. Eugene, this year, as Russia as the chair of the BRICS, and it proposed to create this new payment systems, also known as the BRICS Bridge Payment System. It will link member countries' financial system to ensure a smoother international trade. Russia says, here I quote, it wants the system based on mutual dependency rather than centralized decision-making by a single entity. Could you share more details with us on how this cross-border payment system work and what progress has been made so far?
Okay, thank you for the question. So first, like for the context, like what my colleague from Ethiopia said, is a very important issue. So these banks, like the IMF, they always have some conditions. It's a very important thing. It's like a measure of pressure. Second, if we're talking about BRICS, we have at least three major BRICS economies, namely Russia, Iran, and China, that to different degrees have been subject to Western sanctions, predominantly American sanctions. Unfortunately, it not only affects the economic and other relations of the sanctioned countries with the United States, but it also affects the trade and different transactions of other countries, like including within the BRICS countries. And furthermore, there are other countries outside of BRICS that are also sanctioned, and many of them actually have expressed interest in joining BRICS. Therefore, a logical issue arises. So basically, it is quite clear that today the weaponizing of dollar and SWIFT have really compromised the American-centered international financial system. So, for example, my colleague from Ethiopia, I have two of my friends who just recently visited Ethiopia, a beautiful country. I've been sent some photos and videos. But a very clear example, so Russia has been they've been really hard on Russia in terms of sanctions. So it's been cut off, basically, the fourth largest economy in the world has been cut off from SWIFT. Ethiopia has a very friendly visa regime towards Russia. But for the e-visa, you need to pay with a bank card, which we can't do because we're cut off from SWIFT. So obviously there needs to be a lot of things done to help with this connectivity, and the most obvious reason here is to create an alternative for SWIFT, and to lessen the dependency at least on the dollar, so that we are more safe from such risks, because you never know who's going to be next. You never know what's going to happen, because there is absolutely no evidence right now to suggest that these sanctions regimes against the countries that have been sanctioned, that they will be eased. And in fact, there is all the evidence to suggest that there will be more restrictions. That's why we are talking about here. And like during the Russian presidency in BRICS this year, we're talking essentially about a number of initiatives here. But like overall, I'm not exactly an expert on the area, but overall we're talking about first the creation of the BRICS currency, which is in the form of the currency basket, it's like an account unit in the form of the currency basket of the currencies of the BRICS members, so the famous R5, which is, it's been discussed that it's going to be maybe based on the golden exchange standard, because the BRICS countries altogether combined have more monetary gold reserves than, for example, the IMF and the European Central Bank combined. Furthermore, the BRICS currency can be backed by other precious metals and highly liquid natural resources, such as natural gas and oil and uranium, for example. And basically, for this currency to function properly, you need a financial system. Yes, like the financial message system, an alternative to SWIFT. There's a lot of talk about like using the digital currencies for the cross-border transactions. For this, you need a lot of, so it's a complicated process. For this, you need a lot of political will and complementing efforts from all the countries, including in terms of legislation, to make this work. And so all of this will be presented in much more detail, I believe, during this summit in Kazan.
Lance, what's your assessment of this? And how will this expansion of BRICS diversify and further maybe support reform of the current global financial system?
I agree entirely with Eugene. You know, it's very important that we have a payment mechanism that allows for easy trade between the BRICS bloc countries. I look at as an African example, right? We've been trying to get the African continental free trade area off the ground to make interactions between intra-African countries a little bit easier and outside of that framework of Western-backed systems. So I think it's a fantastic idea. I mean, the bridge payment system, I think, is a good step forward. There's a lot of details that I think still need to be hashed out. I think it would further support the goal of just the BRICS bloc's autonomy in international trade. I think the expansion of BRICS would help achieve this, because it increases the bloc's economic weight and influence, and particularly with, as my colleague was mentioning, the rich liquid natural resources, the gold reserves that we have. And I mean, it can really only benefit the BRICS countries. And if I look at, we were talking just a little bit earlier about the New Development Bank and some of the infrastructure projects. If I look at South Africa specifically, right? We've had a problem with energy. We've had rolling blackouts over the last couple of years. Things have kind of stabilized, but it's because we've managed to secure funding from the New Development Bank to support our state-owned power utility, Eskom, for example, for its renewable energy program. I look at some of the private energy infrastructure developments by Chinese-owned companies here in the Western Cape and elsewhere in South Africa. And all of that is as a result of our relationship with BRICS. I look at our rail network and our transport infrastructure, our state-owned transport infrastructure development agency, Transnet, which has received funding from the New Development Bank to improve our rail networks and our rail infrastructure. So all of these things can only be improved by a payment system that allows far easier transaction between the member states.
Our panelists have all talked about the energy shortages problem. The good news is that the expansion of BRICS this time brings new opportunities in the bloc's energy cooperation because Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the UAE, they're all important members of OPEC, with their crude oil production accounting for over 20% of global output. So as these countries join BRICS, how will Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Iran join the bloc help to diversify or enhance the energy cooperation within the bloc?
Ethiopia is a large importer of oil, so we know how it's painful, buying this oil. So when it comes to like when you have these three potential countries, we already have Russia, so we are adding like UAE, Iran, and Saudi Arabia to the group. Obviously, it increased energy security. So BRICS can become more self-sufficient in energy supply. So reducing reliance on external sources and mitigating the risk associated with geopolitical tension is one of the opportunity. So the other thing is, price stability will be, one of the opportunities. So the inclusion of this major oil producer can help stabilize global energy price, not only for the BRICS member, but also for the global market. So we also have this diversification issue. BRICS can diversify its energy sources, so reducing its dependence on a single fuel type, and it can also enhance resilience. And also we can have also technological cooperation, even in this oil or fuel exchanging. And also it has also an impact on global energy market system. It can also increase bargaining power. The BRICS bargaining power can be increased because of this fuel. If you are the largest provider of oil, you can bargain some of the these global nodes because of these oil things. The expanded BRICS, with its significance, energy resource can have a greater influence on global energy markets, potentially challenging the dominance of these traditional energy powers. And also, we can also have alternative energy models. So BRICS countries can promote alternative energy models like to the global north and to the whole world system. And also we can have these geopolitical implications. So once the expansion of BRICS and its enhanced energy cooperation with these three countries and adding Russia, we can have these geopolitical implications, potentially shifting the balance of power in the global energy arena. So it has a lot, we can mention a lot of things about these issues because we are suffering a lot. We can't buy energy fuel from Saudi Arabia with real. Why not? Why not? We can pay with our local payment once we have this BRICS bridge, so we can transact the oil, the fuel with our currency. So it will have a lot of impact in BRICS economy and specifically Ethiopia and Africa.
Lance, from the perspective of South Africa, as you also mentioned, there is the problem of energy shortage. And also, along with what Baharu has just mentioned, all of those advantages with these three countries joining the bloc. Your take on it?
I absolutely agree. I mean, Baharu, we share that. We buy oil in dollars, and that's the challenge that we face here. So we're beholden to the global markets and how that goes. If we've got Iran, UAE, and Saudi Arabia in the group chat, we can say, hey, listen, let's just stabilize the price a little bit. Let's get some discounts going for the member countries. So that will really help. I had mentioned that our state-owned energy producer Eskom has been struggling in the last couple of years to keep the lights on. It's kind of stabilized now, but only because we're burning through tons and tons of diesel fuel to keep that energy going. And South Africa supplies electricity to some of our neighboring countries as well, like Namibia and Zambia and Zimbabwe. And it puts a strain on us. So I couldn't agree more with what Baharu has said on the just leveling the playing fields when it comes to interacting and trading on oil and fuel. But I do also want to just touch on this concept of the just energy transition. And I mean, we've been speaking about this, in various different fora across multiple different spectrums. You look at this transition from fossil fuels or traditional or single source energy production means, and we need to look at what are some of the solutions that China has implemented? What are some of the solutions that Russia has implemented? What are some of the solutions in North Africa, for example, Morocco has a massive solar power plant. In South Africa, we've got 80% of the year, we've got sunshine. So how do we harness all of these things, and how do we rely on the skills from the rest of the BRICS bloc to be able to just kind of stabilize our energy needs and diversify those supply methods.
That's a very good point. How to transform or diverse the source of energies that country need to use to boost their economic development and also at the same time maintain their sustainable development could be a subject we could look into further within the BRICS framework. Yeah. So Yasmin, this is a question to you. With the expansion of BRICS, how can we expect to see BRICS countries strengthen their media cooperation to ensure a more balanced and fair narrative, especially when reporting on international affairs?
Over the years, like BRICS has made significant progress, like with the media platform inside the bloc, I believe. We have the BRICS TV in Moscow. We have the BRICS Media Forum that was suggested by China in 2015. We have in Brazil the BRICS Policy Center that do an excellent work in the city of Rio de Janeiro. However, all these initiatives, they are like confined to the BRICS member countries. So we have to go abroad. It's time to go abroad. It's time to expand also with the expansion of the bloc. So my suggestion is that BRICS could establish like outside of the members countries like small communication hubs in countries outside the bloc that can create new initiatives to not only change their narrative, but also to explain what BRIC is. I'm from Brazil, but I'm based on an European country, and I can assure you, people here, they don't know exactly what BRICS is about. All they know that is a like global South answer against Western groups. But as I said before, they don't know this is a natural answer. They somehow see as a enemy. They didn't develop the real characteristics of BRICS. So if we do these small hubs in countries outside the bloc, we can like do workshops, we can do summits also that we already have, cultural events, conference. I think all this will bring knowledge and change the narrative that these countries has about BRICS.
Eugene, Yasmin, she just mentioned like in many Western countries, they actually have this not very correct narrative on the image of BRICS. So now, since we're all media professionals here today, how can we, under the framework of the BRICS, together to facilitate or enhance our voice to tell the story of the BRICS? Can that happen? Are we able to do that? Or if so, how can we make that happen?
We shall hang out more. No, seriously, I think that we should really try to form this sense of community of journalists and like media workers in general within BRICS, not as opposed to somebody else, but like to form this idea that we have this community of professionals that have the standards that are not worse than anything else, that we are not like have to like catch up with something, and obviously there needs to be a lot more work done for us to, like when I said about hanging out, we actually need to see each other more and cooperate, because otherwise how would we develop this feeling, this understanding that we do the same work, like we have the same standards, we have the same understanding of like values, or like what journalism is, what we need to say. And I think that's basically the main element behind making it more vocal and sort of collective, like we are different, but like to send this message what BRICS is. We need to understand, like to have this touch to realize what we are like. And that's obviously it. And as soon as we understand this ourselves better, as soon as we have these common standards and common picture, I think this is going to be more efficient, like outside the BRICS.
I think that's very important, because when it comes to important international affairs, especially like the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and also like Palestine and Israel, a lot of voice we see dominated the international stage come from the developed nations and their media outlets. And many times it's not very balanced or not very objective, but how can we as the media from the developing countries and the global south empower our voice to make those international affairs being reported in a more fair and balanced way?
Well, it is a very complicated and interesting issue, because obviously, as we know, the English-speaking media, we're talking English now, all right? The English-speaking media make up for the majority of the international news coverage. It happens so that English now is like the most commonly spoken language in the world. So obviously, yeah, as far as for example, the conflicts that you mentioned, the coverage is very, very one-sided as far as the mainstream media is concerned, be they on the right, be it on the left. If it comes to something like the conflict in Ukraine, it's going to be like very one-sided for all of them. And yes, so I don't know. Maybe we should develop our like competency in terms of this particular sphere of international broadcasting. So, for example, in China, in Russia, we have such companies. For example, Sputnik. There is RT and like others, and CGTN obviously. And this is a special skill. This needs to be worked on, and I think that it's a real investment that needs to be made. And otherwise, how would you transfer a message to the international audience? And the second thing is like basically you need to form a habit of acquiring information from these sources, like for example from the BRICS countries. And how do you do that? You need to make great content.
I think I need to say something on this. As a director of TV news and current affairs, we face a lot of difficulties on media issue. The first thing is, the BRICS, the member of BRICS, if you see how they are, writing their news or delivering their information, we are a little bit shy. We are, defensive. Once the West media say something about Russia or China, we try to defend. We need to be offensive. We need to go out there and we need to tell our story. The other thing is we need to have this, our own platforms. By using Facebook and Twitter, we can win. Like the global knows the West is like dominating the whole media, platform. So we need, as a BRICS, we need to think to develop our own platform so that we can transmit or disseminate our own stories to the world. And also what we need is like, we don't have this joint media initiatives. We need to have some sort of joint media initiative so that we can share information, we can exchange. Let me tell you something about like what we are doing in Ethiopia.
Yes.
To report about China, we're like referring CNN and BBC. Why? We need to have like directly check from CGTN or Xinhua, or China Daily, to talk about Russia. We are not referring Sputnik. We are not referring RT, because it's the access is very limited. we start sharing information about, each country's, like with CGTN, we have this platform. So we share, information and news, like we have this platform. But with Russia, like RT is, it's down from Facebook. So it's not easy to access easily RT in Ethiopia. So we need to have some platform so that we can share, any information, any agenda, any narrative, we can share from RT and, with Fana Broadcasting Corporate, my media station, we can share information about, Russia. We don't need to take from CNN and BBC about Russia. We need to like go there. It's very far. We can't go there. So we need to have some access to information about. And also, there is a lot of misinformation like spreading out there about BRICS, about China, about Russia. So we need to fight like for our own sake. Like it's about, we need to think it's about, survival issue, how they are dominating on Twitter, how they are, excluding, the truth, the fact on behalf of Russia from Twitter. Even we can think about the sovereignty of, internet world. So we need to think like out of the box. We need to, come close.
Create
We
our
need
own
to,
platform
yes,
representing
yes,
the voice of the global south, and so that
yes,
when we're saying out our own stand position on certain things, we won't be muted or blocked or removed
yes.
from the
I think
platform.
we need our own Facebook, not their Facebook.
Yeah.
We can think like
Great
this.
thoughts. Great thoughts.
Lance and Yasmin, do you guys have anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to say, I mean, and I share Baharu's thoughts on this. I traveled to Moscow in 2016. The last time I was in Moscow. I was with journalists from India, from Russia, from Brazil, and a couple of other countries, and China as well. It's been almost 10 years, and we're still in contact. And there's a group of us who used to travel around Moscow late at night, very naughtily. But we've stayed in contact. It's such an important. I mean, Eugene said we need to hang out more, and that's where we hang out. We've got the technology to be able to stay in touch with each other, and we do, and we're checking in on each other. A colleague in Lebanon, hey, how's things going in Lebanon? We know what you're going through. Our colleagues in India, our colleagues in Brazil, we're checking in on each other all the time. Hey, I just heard you guys had elections now. Is everything okay? And it's important that we stay in touch. But I want to make the point about media representation of BRICS, even within South Africa. There are media forces who are very pro-West, who are very pro-United States, who are pro-Israel, and who use their platforms to fight our narratives, where we, as independent media and IOL, speak positively about BRICS, speak positively about the New Development Bank, speak positively about the interventions and the development and infrastructural investments that China has made, the developments that Russia is achieving, or India's activities on the continent of Africa. We're telling the story, and even within our own country, as a member state of BRICS, we have big media houses who try to counter that narrative, try to dissuade us and say, oh no, BRICS is bad, and it's nonsense. I mean, we're fighting these misinformation wars. It's our role as media houses who support BRICS and who have hosted BRICS media forums here in South Africa ourselves. It's up to us to have those conversations and to continue to expose the good work that BRICS is doing, and the development and this establishment of the new world order. But I think it's very important, as Eugene says as well, we need to hang out more. And where do we hang out, as Baharu says? On our own platforms. I think it's time for us to we've got to take control and shape that narrative. Sure. Thank you.
Most of the time when we're talking about BRICS, we're more focusing on the development of the global south. But how can we tell the stories of the BRICS to nations in the global north to help them better understanding that BRICS is not only for the global south, it's not only for the developing countries, but also for the world as a whole?
Okay. As you are asking me this question, I would just like to go a little bit like in the other one to add about misinformation that Baharu said and Lance also. From my point of view, like daily working with journalism here in Europe, we should set up a BRICS fact-checking network, and like collaborative investigative journalism projects, as Pavlov said. Also, because this focus also focus in media, coverage on BRICS, economic achievements and opportunities. And we also, there is a thing that even the algorithms, they work against us. So it's so important that we really develop, like not only with ourselves, the BRICS media. I agree that we have to improve more our internal communication, but we really need to go abroad. We really need to give voice to BRICS outside. I totally agree with network of BRICS, but we'll still be in a bubble. It's important to do the two movements, like inside and outside. Living here, I daily have to explain my work. When I'm a journalist, I'm doing exactly what they do also. So why do I have to explain and I don't get the certificate because I work with medias from the global south? So that's the point. Regarding what you said, I believe that to understand that BRICS is not only for the global south is like help to show nations and that understand that BRICS is not aiming to replace the world order, but to reform it for the benefit of all. We can do this through the media and also like show several key strategies that can be employed, such as engaging with international institutions, promoting dialogue and transparency, and highlight success stories inside BRICS. This is also quite important, what we achieved. BRICS can showcase examples of how its initiatives, such as infrastructure development that we are talking here so much, or trade agreement have benefits both developing and developed nations. So I think that's how we can give an answer to show that BRICS is not only for the global south.
Same question to you guys. So how can we, for Lance and Bahra, how can we let the developed nations understand that this BRICS mechanism is not there to replace the world order like Yasmin has just mentioned, but is to reform, is to diversify, to better promote economic prosperity and global governance?
I think the challenge that the West is facing is this issue of competition, right? I mean, they've had the monopoly on infrastructure development funding. They've had the monopoly on payment mechanisms. They've had the monopoly on the means of trade because we all trade on the dollar. And now that there is this emergence and this strengthening and this growth within BRICS, there's a threat to that monopoly. So I think it's just this almost foreign concept of competition to them. And I think what we can do is say, you know what, we're going to take our business elsewhere. We're going to do business with ourselves. I hear what Yasmin is saying, that, sometimes it can feel like we're operating in a little bit of a bubble. But I think if you make a monopoly realize that you don't need them, you can prosper without them, it makes them pay attention. I mean, unfortunately, it's the only language that a neo-colonial power understands is that power of I almost want to say economic violence. We're going to take our business elsewhere. We don't need you. We'll continue to develop and grow and prosper for the benefit of all our people, as opposed to for the benefit of the private sector, for the benefit of the elite. And I think that's the difference. That's the message that needs to come across really strongly to the global north and to the Western powers, is that the development within BRICS is not for an elite few. It's not to benefit an elite few, but it is to benefit everybody. And I mean, that message has been clear throughout. You look at the development of Russia, you look at China's eradication of poverty and the mass modernization drive that China's been on over the last year or so. It's just, I, as South Africa, and I, as a BRICS member, want to be part of that development. And I think if the rest of the world sees that the development is for all, it's not just for the elite, I think we'll start shifting some hearts and minds.
How about you, Baharu?
I think the issue of BRICS is not about competition, it's about complementing each other. We are not standing against the global north. Still, we need them, and they also need us. The problem is they thought we only need them, like, for the sake of our growth or economy, or to solve our problem. But we need to create that understanding that we need each other, not like one-sided, but it's interdependency. And also, it's not about creating another pole. We have this multipolarism, is like, we need to emphasize on that. And also, as a media personnel, we need to highlight this global impact, how BRICS have an impact on the global arena. Like, the BRICS initiatives and developments have a significant impact on the global economy, trade, and politics, not only the members of BRICS. And also, we can also focus on the shared challenge, the challenge we have as a BRICS and as a globe, this inequality, poverty, and also climate change. So we need to focus, we need to emphasize, we need to portray how BRICS is doing to eradicate poverty, to challenge this climate change. So we need to focus on this shared global challenge so that we can understand each other. So but the priority thing is, we need each other, not one-sided. So we are here and they are here. There is a win-win mechanism, not yeah, you need to do this. I am the one who ordered the wallet. So there is no such things. We can't continue like this. We need to tell them we are doing together. We are prospering the globe together. So the globe is ours, not only us or them.
Lastly, Yasmin, so Brazil will take on the BRICS presidency next year. What do you expect to be Brazil's focus when it becomes the chair?
Yes, actually, last Friday we had a meeting in Moscow with the representative of the Ministry of Finance, Antonio Freitas, and he revealed some of Brazilia's economy priorities for the bloc. So he said that Brazil aims to bring topics such as the fight against hunger and poverty, and tax large fortune and sustainable financing to BRICS. But one thing that he said that I would like to very fast point out, that he said, we intend to carry over part of the G20 agenda to BRICS. And I thought this quite interesting because it shows that how different groups can cooperate. Now Brazil is in the leading of the G20. We have the summit in November in Rio de Janeiro. And I thought this was a very nice statement of him. And based on other statements from Brazilian authorities throughout the year, I believe that we will try to promote leadership in multilateral forums, increase engage with non-BRICS nations, something that we are talking about here, and cooperating health initiatives. I don't know, like, if you know this, but I think that very nice that happened last week also is that we launched the first scientific journal, BRICS Health Journal, during the 14th meeting of BRICS Health Ministers. And actually, this meeting was very remarkable because it was the first one with the expansion. We will have the summit in Kazan in Russia, but the first meeting in the BRICS cooperation with the expansion was this, with the health minister. So it was quite lovely. And I also believe that Brazil, in the leadership of BRICS, will try to explore cybersecurity. Okay, that's a very important topic also. Digital trade, sustainable development, and environmental issues, and much more.
In the past 20 years, emerging market economies and developing countries have contributed up to 80% of global economic growth. Over the past 40 years, their share of global GDP has increased from 24% to over 40%. The rise of emerging market economies and developing countries represented by the BRICS nations has gradually transformed them from followers in global governance into active participants and drivers. While it remains to be seen what the expansion of BRICS will bring to the global order, one thing is certain: the Global South is no longer the silent majority. They are a key force in the transformation of international order. With that, we're wrapping up this episode of the Media Chats. Thank you so much for joining us. In the studio, we have Evgenii Pavlov. He's a journalist with Sputnik Agency. With us on the line is Witten, editor-in-chief with IOL in South Africa, and Yasmin Scali, a journalist with Sputnik Brasil specializing in BRICS. And also joining us from Ethiopia is Baharu Yidnekachew. He's the director of TV news and current affairs with Fana Broadcasting Corporate. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.
This is CGTN Radio. Hear the difference.